Which
That's what it is.
Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Dawnbringers. This is episode 19 of our Rime of the Frostmaiden season. This episode is called Sunblight, and perfectly timed to us going live is when Big Bearded Nerd just rated us from his Let's Paint Tiny Things stream. So I'll go ahead and throw that domain die up there. Thank you, Dwight, for the raid, and welcome everybody. We are going to get started in the continuation of our long-running campaign that happens every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Mini Terrain Domain. But first, a couple of quick announcements. We are now just over a week. In fact, I think we are 8 days away from the start of Jasper's Game Week. Next week, over on D&D Beyond, they will be kicking it off with several games that are happening on Friday and Saturday. And then Sunday here on Mini Terrain Domain, the 2nd of May, we will be running 4 games a day, several giveaways, lots of awesome stuff going on, all while raising money for Jasper's Game Day through Friday, the 7th of May. And then we're going to turn it over to our friends from it's Hearthstone something. I tried to check Jasper's Game Day, but their website is down at the moment. But they're going to be running some Pathfinder stuff. Paizo's doing some streaming stuff with them on the following weekend. And all week, while we are not streaming, over on our Australian friends channel, they will be running games in the off hours. So we are going to have an absolutely incredible week, 10 days of raising money for Jasper's Game Day. We've already raised tons of money in the auctioning and raffles for the seats, which have all been announced on the schedule on jaspersgameday.com, which you can check out once the site is back up. In the meantime, if you want to give to Jaspers directly, you can do so by clicking on the link when you type !Jaspers in the chat, as Jeremy did just a few minutes ago. I believe it was Jeremy. Yes. Another way that you can help raise or help support Jaspers is pick yourself up a bag of Metade roast coffee from our friends over at Initiative Coffee Company. For every 12-ounce bag you purchase, $3 goes to benefit Jasper's Game Day. Huge shout out to our sponsor, Talon and Claw, maker of fine wooden dice accessories, and soon dice themselves. I mean, he does make some unique wooden dice, but Talon and Claw have been teasing for a couple weeks now several sets of gemstone dice. They're doing some incredible vaults, laser engraved with 88 riddles, incredible designs. The dice are not included in this discount because that will be a separate Kickstarter. But if you want to pick up any other Talon and Claw accessories, I encourage you to follow the link in the chat now to their Etsy shop and use code MTDClaw at checkout to get 10% off of your order. So those are, of course, our major announcements. The two last things that I want to mention are, one, look up there above V's head. You see the plus 120, plus 2 additional dice up there. Those are the domain dice that are available to the Dawnbringers, and they only get them if you provide them for them. You can do that by cheering 500 bits, donating $5 through the tip thing, subscribing, gifting subs, raids, all of those kind of things will earn the players domain dice that they can use to re-roll. They can make me re-roll all the way up to super criticals, which are turning any hit into a automatic double max damage critical hit. So yeah, that's how they get those from you. The last thing that I want to talk about is, of course, our most important announcement that we tell you every week because it's important, just as important as you are, and that is that you matter. Whether or not you believe it, your presence on this earth makes a difference. But it can be a struggle. That's okay. It's okay to not be okay. And as they say over at Jasper's Game Day, you are not a critical failure. And we mean that. We mean that. We would really like you to, if you are struggling, if you find yourself in a place where you need help, please do not hesitate to reach out to somebody. You can come here any time of day or night, whether we are streaming or not, and you can type !help in the chat, and that will bring up some phone numbers, some text numbers, and a URL where you can find, no matter where you are in the world, you can find the help you need from a trained professional, either a phone call or a text message away. And we encourage you to please use those resources. With that, I think it is time to play some Dungeons and Dragons. The Dawnbringers have been working their way around Icewind Dale on foot and by sled dog, arriving here accidentally and finding that they are in the midst of several mysteries, one of which they solved through sheer violence by destroying Arviatris, the ancient white dragon, the dragon that had in fact taken their ship, the Evangeline, including all of its crew, and brought it up here to the north. They still don't know where the crew are, but the dragon is no longer a threat. They also learned that their one-time friend, Vi, the human druid from Oakhurst, has been hatching a nefarious plan, supposedly in league with the Frostmaiden herself, to rid the region of all of its inhabitants, rendering it back to its wilderness state by using the magically infused crystal, ice, and stone known as Chardolin to create something that she has called Belak the Malevolent, that she plans to unleash upon 10 towns. In trying to get to where they believe that Vi is holed up in an old Duergar fortress in the mountains, they got sidetracked by some Chardolin berserkers. Upon defeating them, Fig found a 6-pointed snowflake ring on one of their fingers, immediately took it, transporting them to the cave of the Bear Clan, where they found 2 white dragon wormlings and a magical brazier that was apparently a gift to the berserkers from the Frostmaiden. It took them a while to figure out how to destroy it, but they eventually did do that. However, in holding watch over the area, each of them in turn was visited by the Frostmaiden herself, Oriel, who has attempted to sway them, apparently beseeching each of them individually to kill Vi, the druid, putting to question whether or not Vi is working in concert with the Frostmaiden or not. Some of them, well, all of them seem to more or less be having none of that from the Frostmaiden. Particularly Cantriel and Fig, who through pure logic seem to dispel the Frostmaiden. Nonetheless, Fig was able to use his stone, his shapestone spell, and reshape the stone and ice, destroying this magical brazier and snuffing out the flame of the Frostmaiden. When they teleported to this location, they did realize that they were much further to the east along the spine of the world than their intended goal. We pick up now, Dawnbringers, after you have eliminated this brazier, and you now must figure out what is your next plan of action to get back on track and head to Sunblight. Dawnbringers, what would you like to do?
Where are we?
Do we have a rough idea of where we are and where we need to go?
I believe, Thorgarn, you had managed to figure out through the combination of the stars and just with the clear night and being able to see the landscape that you were many, many, many miles to the east, probably 3 to 4 days east of where you need to be.
So we were like a day or two away from where we needed to, and now we're like 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
Sigh. Well, no, we got to go that way, but we still have more days of travel ahead.
Well,
But the dogs are still fine, right? Nothing happened to any of the dogs or the sleds this time when we
Correct.
crashed.
so
No, I briefly almost killed the dogs again, but then I realized I had to retcon because my dragons went out of turn.
I see.
By me, I mean my monsters. I personally don't want to kill the dogs again.
Well, we should begin our journey.
So, you have your dogs, you have your sleds, you've had a couple of days of, actually traveling by sled, dog sled, to kind of figure out how you want to do this. What I'm going to do to expedite the travel is I will just need, for each day of travel, I need a survival roll from whoever is leading in your navigation.
You continuing to have Thorgarn
Yeah,
do it?
it's 6,
It's gonna
right?
be-
Yeah, because I only have a
Yep.
4.
You can work
Sorry,
together
uh,
to get advantage on that check.
I
What were
will
we doing again?
assist.
What was that, Dan?
What were we making? What check? Sorry.
Survival.
Cantriel
Uh,
will help because she's very,
Yeah.
she's got that keen ear and stuff, so she can listen to things.
Yeah, I got a +4, so
That's all I
All right,
do.
so Ted, you can roll with advantage for.
All right, that's 3 on the first eye, but a 15 on the second. So
Okay.
21.
Woohoo.
So fortune is favoring you on the first day of travel. While it's still dark, the aurora illuminates your path, and the clouds are abated. So you have plenty of starlight as well in your first day of travel. Second day, go ahead. And feel free to stop me if you guys decide you want to do anything in particular along the way. I actually, in fact, I as Emma, I think Em was in such a hurry to say what they wanted to do.
I got really excited.
You all right?
Yeah, yep. All right. Fig wants to start casting his simulacrum spell again.
And that was was that a 12-hour spell?
Yeah, so he would be spending time just like because he can move around. He just has to use his action so he can't like look out or anything like that. So you'd be spending, if it's feasible, if if it would make sense for him to do it, then he would. But if it wouldn't, then he doesn't want to hold the group back, if that makes sense.
I would say that on the first day of travel, most of your day is spent working your way down the mountain that you had found yourself on. You're quite a ways up. It's probably not feasible. So we'll say on day 2, it looks like as you get started, it's going to depend in part on how well Thorgarn navigates you all. So Thorgarn, it's day 2 with advantage because Cantriel is assisting.
All right, well, now that we've got a simulacrum spell on the crux of this, I'm going to use a domain die. Reroll that one. That's better. That's a 19.
Okay. The weather is continuing to hold. You've seen no sign of snow. If anything, it does seem to be much colder with no cloud cover. You're just getting extreme cold temperatures. But with that survival check, you are able to navigate your way along, finding the best routes. And you are not interrupted. Since you landed in Icewind Dale, this is probably the most boring time you've had. Uneventful. Fig, why don't you tell us what this looks like as you reach the end of this 12-hour period as you've all been traveling and you successfully cast your spell?
I have a question. Also, before I cast this spell, you said that we would have rubies that are not Archimedes.
You have a lot of gemstones.
Okay.
And there is no longer a dragon to lay claim to the ones that belonged to her. And you already had a lot that were already yours. So yes, you would have the rubies you needed to do it without using the Archimedes Mind Stone.
Perfect. Because I read the spell more carefully, and I think that would be not a great decision.
The part specifically where you have to pulverize it?
Maybe. But anyway, so he's going to be... Fig is going to spend most of his time in the back of the sled, and you see that he is sculpting something beside him. It turns to be a figure, and you can see it more and more, and it shares a very similar shape to Fig. In fact, it is Fig as he is sculpting it. You can see the intricacies of the snow being carved. Sometimes he's put in ice to make it shine the way that his own armor shines. And as he begins to crush the ruby and all of the other ingredients into his little bowl, I imagine he carries around with him to make such spells, he says some words, and he takes a breath, though he doesn't have to, but he he's seen this before. When someone does something that they're nervous about, they take a breath, and so he does the same, thinking that it's some kind of good luck charm. So he would do so, and onto the this figure, and for a moment there's nothing, and then slowly, I imagine that the snow almost takes on this like metallic sheen to it. It like hardens, and it gets that like very slick look to it as the gears begin to move slowly at first, but faster and faster. And then we see water begin to pass through the tubes that Fig has, and it has that same magical blue arcaneness that Fig has that now passes through these ice tubes that this Fig has. And I think you would hear something from Fig that you may imagine would be a squeal of joy and just excitement, but it probably just sounds like a teapot boiling over.
All right. Well, you hear this sound, and this is right about the time you're realizing it's time once again to pull the sleds up, and this is usually where Fig would cast Fig's Fabulous Fortress if you have the spell slot. I don't know if you did you use it up to use this spell?
Yep.
So
No
this is the point
dancing
where Fig
tonight.
normally casts Fig's Fabulous Fortress.
Well, I mean, if you all don't mind roughing it for the night, I do have my wee little hut.
But you can't help but notice as you circle up the wagon, so to speak. Well, you can't really circle up two wagons, but as you pull them up, that there is another Fig. Though not perhaps as lavishly dressed, it's constructed without any equipment. But it is a, there's another Fig. I imagine it just sitting up suddenly, just sort of rising up. Maybe there's a little bit of that initial just sort of, and then it swings its legs around, kind of stands up and just.
I want it to go up to Talmud and just like tap him on the shoulder just from behind.
Oh, hey, Fig. Would you mind untying the knot on that side? What are your clothes, Fig?
And you see Fig come up. Ha! You see, I got you. That is not Fig. I am Fig. That is a spell that I cast.
What? You cast a spell that summoned a naked version of yourself.
That is a good point. I did not realize.
Can you do things and carry things and also cast spells?
And imagine, like, on cue, the simulacrum just holds like a little flame up in its hand.
That's excellent.
Yes.
All right. Not Fig. Untie that into the rope, please.
So I imagine Thorgarn is kind of off to the side watching all of this, completely bewildered. Does it need clothes? Does he need clothes?
Would you feel better if there were clothes?
I'm not bothered. I just don't know whether the not Fig is bothered. It's cold out here.
Fig didn't actually start wearing clothes until Saltmarsh.
Right, but it's also cold.
I think that was a fashion statement more than anything.
I don't know whether Warforged are bothered by what's going on here in the Arctic.
Shrinkage. Sorry.
So I will also
Metal
kind
contracts.
of throw this out that since we left the cave and dealt with the the flame in the pedestal, for whatever downtime we've had, if Fig is willing, Thorgarn would be asking questions about magic and basically whatever Fig feels like talking about. Thorgarn would kind of just sit and listen.
Oh yeah, Fig. If you ask Fig anything about magic, he gets very excited, and he would even bring out like his Copernicus's book and just begin to like show you all like. And I imagine it is like a picture book. Like some things like pop out, and some things like there's writing everywhere, and some things glow. Some pages he goes past really quick because they're leaking with some sort of like green goo in there that from like a spell that didn't go quite right. But he's still hopeful.
It's
clear that Thorgarn is not able to follow, but his eyes kind of glaze over and he keeps a smile the entire time.
It's literally chapter 10 of the player's handbook on spellcasting. So, setting up camp, you're able to do, I believe Cantriel was going to cast the dome.
Yes.
The tiny hut.
Tiny hut.
So we're now a party of 8 and 6 wolves.
Yeah, not everyone's gonna fit.
I don't think we're all gonna fit in the dome.
No, I think I can take
And
up to 8.
I would much rather the dogs survive the night. So I will gladly sacrifice my spot for more puppies inside the dome where they're safe.
I can accept 9. Medium size or smaller.
We're at 14, so that means, right?
Like,
I mean,
as long as I wear my boots, I'm okay to sleep outside. I mean, without Nimsy's cookies, is it really even worth? I mean,
yeah, if we're that worried about the dogs, that's fine. But I mean, they can just kind of.
I mean, they're
burrow down
Arctic
in snow and
dogs.
they're
They're
fine.
used to
I was
being
gonna say,
outside.
Like they just
usually
burrow in
sleep-
snow and they're
yeah,
fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to, I don't want to.
Don't we
You know,
have
have
Hermes
us
too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have Hermes and not
So-
Baron,
I have-
and Baron.
Baron.
I imagine Hermes, as all of this is happening, the dogs are sort of, Hermes is tending to the dogs and they're doing sort of settling down into the snow. There's maybe a few moments where Hermes and the dogs are all expectantly looking at Fig, waiting for the fortress to be cast. But eventually, they turn away, and as you see the dogs sort of settling down and huddling into the snow, probably up near the edge of the dome, Hermes just sort of crouches down and also huddles into the snow between a couple of the dogs.
Cute.
Yeah, it's a pretty cozy 20-foot diameter or 20 diameter dome. So yeah, all of the rest of you that wish can be inside or outside.
I mean,
Is anybody
there's
staying
room
outside?
inside, so
Talmud is still going to stay outside. All right. Talmud, go ahead and just make me a perception check.
so I rolled a nat 20 for a 25.
nice.
The night passes uneventfully. As those of you that stay inside, do so rather comfortably. Talmud awakening, feeling rested, but definitely with a with a very thick layer of ice and frost in the mustache and beard, looking a bit like a dwarven-sized abominable snowman rising up out of the snow, along with the dogs and Hermes. That's 2 days of travel down, and your party has managed to grow by 1 with the second. Wait, it's 1. How many are there of you? There's the 5, 6 with Baron.
Hermes 7, Simulacrum 8.
We're now a party of 14 because.
Well, I'm not counting the dogs. You're 1 shy of a fellowship.
Yes.
Yeah,
A
currently we're
few
just
hobbits short of a fellowship.
Yeah, currently we're just a
Listen,
circle.
All right.
I'm going to use that from now on.
All right. Well, another day of travel awaits you. The weather still without any form of new snow or blizzard. Clear skies ahead.
As we pack up to get ready to travel for the day, Drown is going to head over towards Thorgarn and say, "How are you feeling?"
Very much impacted by that owl bitch.
Roll a d6.
That's a 1.
Oop.
Thorgarn, you might think these words momentarily, but you don't actually respond to Drown. Drown, Talmud, or damn it, Thorgarn. Thorgarn is, as you're setting everything up, partially in the process. I imagine, Thorgarn, your pack is at your feet. And you're in that state where everything's ready and you're about to throw it up on your back. And you start hearing the whispering again. And that's all you can concentrate on for the next several minutes. As Drown, you ask Thorgarn how he's doing, and you get no response. He's just standing there staring. Fig, I need you to roll me a d6 as well.
2.
You're fine.
So after repeating the question once or twice and getting no response out of Thorgarn, Drown is going to reach out, grab him by his shoulder, and shake him pretty forcefully.
Roll a d6 again, Thorgarn.
2.
You don't remember what you were doing, but you are being forcefully shaken by Drown.
Thorgarn!
What's up?
It just kind of tilts his head. You were not responding for several minutes.
What do you mean?
I asked you a question, and you stared blankly for a long time.
Yes. Gotta be yes. What was the question?
I think your verbal answer is irrelevant. I have received a better one. Fig, how are you?
Fig is currently playing some sort of game in the snow with his simulacrum. It seems quite complicated, but he looks over. I am fine.
Have you noticed any of your verbal malfunctions?
I have not. All systems are clear.
That is good.
Every time you speak, Fig, your simulacrum repeats the last 1 or 2 words that you say. Like it's trying out the shape of the words, learning how to speak.
Thorgarn, I think you are still suffering effects of your exposure to the Charlatan.
It's probable. I mean, there's so many things that I just don't know about it.
I'm not a healer, but I can attempt to remove any lingering touch it has left on you. I don't know if it will work.
Open to try, open to see what it is.
All right. So Drown just sort of holds out his hand and just looks at you for a second, just holding out his hand toward you.
Yeah.
So as soon as you grab his hand, he kind of clamps a very firm, not quite painful, but just on the edge grip around your hand, starts to whisper, and his eyes glow green, and then his tattoos as well run down his arm, the greenish glow, and the tentacles sort of coil around your hand and then pull back. I'm going to cast Remove Curse, Jake. I don't know if that will have any effect, but we'll give it a shot. This might be a restoration thing, which I cannot help with.
1 second. I'm just trying to find where this is. This is one of those sessions where I have many tabs open. And I have this on one of my tabs. Come on.
So as you are casting your spell and all these weird things are happening, Thorgarn is definitely observing with more than a passing interest.
Ah, here we go. Curing of this. Ah, here we go. You used which spell?
Remove Curse.
Okay. My D&D dad mouth just wrestled with as I tried to say Thorgarn and almost said Talmud and then almost auto-corrected it back again. That was that pause there. Thorgarn, as Drown does this, you feel an immense weight lifting off of your shoulders. An oppression that you didn't know was there. And in that moment, you hear a faint as the last whispers try to hold on to your subconscious. And the effects of the Charlatan have been dispelled.
Oh, nice.
So it's not tall. I mean, there's a vast difference between the height of Thorgarn and Drown. But you see like just that little bit of an extra, straightening in his back as he stands up. Wow, that feels significantly different.
Good. And he just kind of lets his hand go, claps him once on the shoulder, and then turns and heads over to Fig. So he'll walk over, kind of crouch down, or basically just kind of crouch down where you're playing the game, and just say, "May I cast a spell on you?"
Of course.
So he reaches out his hand, same spell again, eyes glowing, tentacles down one arm tattoo. They reach out, wrap around Fig, and then yank, ripping away any malign influence that's there, hopefully.
Fig.
Second Remove Curse.
You feel, for you, this feels different. What you feel is almost like a displacement, a momentary displacement in the arcane energies that flow through your body. you hadn't realized that there was essentially a foreign entity that had become imbued within your magical essence. But when Drown casts his spell, it is removed, and you feel that temporary displacement. So there's just a moment of almost vertigo for you, and then you feel that whatever was there, whatever was influencing you previously, is now gone.
I have removed the malware.
Drown says as he presses his glasses up.
Reboot necessary. Fig just like looks at his hands and looks down. Thank you, Drown. That feels much better.
Good. And then he stands up, heads right back to loading the sled and getting ready to go.
All right. Unless anybody has anything else they'd like to do, it's day 3 of travel. Thorgarn. So you got in my head now, Jeremy. I actually glanced over at the overlay now. Just to double check before I said the name I've been saying for almost 2 years.
All right, that's going to be an 18.
An 18?
Yep.
Is good. And the weather is continuing to be in your favor. And you have another uneventful day of travel. And you, at the end of this day, you realize that one more full day of travel will put you at the foot of the mountains where this fortress is supposed to be, up in the mountains. Of course, then you know you will have to navigate the mountain itself. So, unless anybody has anything they'd like to do this night, you can do one last check. That last day of travel.
I think Fig, for that last night, it would be mansion time. If all the group is sitting around somewhere, like eating or something, he would have been very quiet this night, but he would have then piped up at some point. So we are not going to kill Vi. Correct?
Well, I do believe the plan is to try and stop her plan. And perhaps the same thing that was happening to us is affecting her. If Drown can operate with the same magic, perhaps that's all she needs.
It is possible. We don't know how deeply she may have been affected if she has been around more of this material for a longer time, which I suspect is the case. I can try.
I suspect she was wearing the damn stuff on her head. Chances are it's going to be far more insidious than what happened with Fig and Thorgarn. We're going to need to restrain her for a while at least.
That was going to be my question. Do we have a way of subduing her?
We have those.
Where are those bands?
Yes. I have them.
Those will do very well.
The bands are with the musician. Got it.
Perfect.
But even if she is too far gone, at first, I think that killing her would be a bad idea. It is what Ariel wants for some reason.
Precisely.
Aaron was very insistent on not killing her as well, if you care at all for his requests.
I imagine he's standing right there.
Figs, I care about yours more, and I want to be sure I understand what is happening tomorrow, so I do not make a mistake.
I have no desire one way or the other in how we deal with Vi. She was several of your friends.
So at this point in time, do we have a person in a helmet to look to Fig to say no disintegrations?
If she can, in fact, be saved, then I would prefer that course of action.
Or I just bring her back from the dead.
That's something you can do?
Yeah.
Don't say yeah, like it's a casual, like everybody does it.
Well, I mean, last time I said I spoke with the dead and make a big deal about it, everyone got all heebie-jeebied about it. I figured just throw it out as a matter of fact and leave it at that.
It's a pretty big deal between talking to the dead and actually restoring life to a body.
Well, then hear ye, I can do something of significance. I can bring her back. Worst case scenario, something happens and things go too far.
Don't just toss it away like that, Cantriel. Everything you do is of significance. This is just something extra that we didn't really know about. This is incredibly handy to have.
Well, I can also breathe fire. Don't forget that.
Oh no, that I've seen.
I can also do this now, and she produces the flame in her hand. Update. There's even a little bit more that can happen, and like sparks suddenly start flipping from flame to more like electrical looking. I have tricks up my sleeve.
So you can bring back anybody?
Well, not anybody. There's sort of a time factor involved.
I understand. Yeah, of course.
I understand too. But if we're worried about it and something slips or something goes south quickly, backup plan. I'm not saying go for the jugular, but I'm not saying, if she's more than we realized, I don't know. It's there if you need it.
Handy to know, that's for sure. So all right, so we'll try to subdue her. We'll use the bands on her if we can. And failing that, well, then we'll fall back on our usual ways, I suppose.
All right. Just don't go too hacky slashy. Like try and keep her together as much as possible.
Oh no, it's a hammer. It's
still.
Honestly, I was thinking about just foregoing weapons and trying for just straight up restraint. I mean, I know she's got tricks up her sleeve, and she's probably going to have, animals at her call. I mean, she can flip and talk to anything.
And she's supposed to have a lot of kobolds as well, right?
You're not worried about kobolds, are you?
Well, I wouldn't really say the word worried, but if they're all carrying little daggers, then eventually I'll have to worry about it.
Come on, man. They're kobolds.
All I need is for something to swing at.
All right, so do we have any other tactics that we want to discuss? Layers of plan? Or do we do it just, Dawnbringer style of see what happens and rush on in?
Well, I mean, quite frankly, the nice thing is that the one who used to scream Dawnbringers and just go on in is no longer an issue.
No, there is that.
I'm just saying we can try different tactics now since we actually, are communicating ahead of time before going into the battle itself.
I think we should probably be ready for an ambush
Of course.
if Vi has so many animals.
Didn't they say that she is basically got all of the animals like speaking like us?
An awakening them, yes.
So they're going to be more intelligent. And to be fair, it's also going to be a bit weird when they start talking or crying out in our language in pain. Just things to think about.
It wouldn't be the strangest thing that's happened.
Thorgarn, you suggested foregoing weapons. Do you have some sort of plan?
I was just going to grapple her. I'm probably not the strongest here, but I'm completely willing to go in, and if I'm already in contact and she starts dying, I can heal with a touch.
You want to be stronger?
I mean, always, but
I mean, I have those gauntlets sitting in my pouch. They, I realize that I'd prefer to be a little more agile than brute strength. If you want them, I'm happy to share them with you.
So, out of game, how...
It's the Gauntlets of Ogre Power.
So that's just
They'll make you 19.
Yeah.
Does it give advantage on athletics check or any of that kind of stuff as well?
Mm-mm.
Is it just a 19?
Just a 19.
I'm already at an 18, so...
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Very well.
It's
The intent to subdue rather than kill her suffices for me.
Fine by me.
I can try to hold off the ancestor spirits as long as I can. But I can't make any promises.
Troll cousin. You know it's there. Look, let's get a good night's rest. Possibly some worthwhile breakfast. We've got to go to put something warm in our bellies before we head down this final leg and see what this tower is going on.
Sounds like a plan. See you in the morning then.
As you all head off to various parts of the fortress, to the rooms that you call your own, after having this tactical discussion in the common area, None of you see this, but we, the viewer, see as the last of you head out to wherever you call your room, sitting quietly in the corner of this common area is Baron, gripping hold of a mug of ale, white-knuckled. You can see his jaw clenching as he watches you leave, and then downs the last of the ale, sets it down perhaps a bit too hard, not breaking anything, but enough that one of the little automatons that zooms around keeping things clean sort of pulls a mouse droid on the Death Star and sort of turns wheels back in a different direction. And that'll be the end of the third night. Is your last day of travel as you all awaken and prepare for your final bit of travel before you're at the base of the mountain. I will need one last survival check for this journey. Thorgarn.
Well, I want this journey over with, so I'm going to use another domain die. That's a 15.
All right, a 15 is a success, and the weather holds out. So another uneventful day of travel as you make your way along the base of the spine of the world, finally arriving in the general area. And for the last little bit, as you move towards an area that looks to be a good approach to head up the begin heading up the mountain, you see, because of how clear it has been, you can see that there is in the silhouettes of the mountain tops, there is an area where they are unnaturally straight. The jagged peaks give way to clean lines for a small space, and you realize that you can faintly make out thin points of warm light coming from most likely windows far above as you see Sunblight perched atop the mountain. You will have to make another night of it before you begin your ascent, unless you want to push on. It's taken you a full day of travel to get here, so you do risk exhaustion if you push on.
I'm going to say, about how far away does the remainder of the journey look to be?
So you're at the base of the mountain. Where is it? It looks like it could take you, if the weather holds out, it could take you a few hours traveling up the mountain. It looks like it's a series of narrow switchbacks, steep inclines. It's questionable whether or not the dogs and the sleds would even be able to make this journey.
Yeah, several hours of hard climb probably shouldn't push that tonight.
And, you know, there's
Especially-
probably no nice place there to rest, even with, you know, a conjured doorway kind of thing. You know, if you get caught, that's it. You know, we're going forward. Whereas if we stop here, we've got the ability to rest and start afresh in the morning. You know, we can change
Sounds
out
good.
any kind of spells that might need to be done for those that can do so.
So you're going to cast the fortress again? Turns
Yes,
out if
indeed.
you search D&D Beyond for Fig's Fabulous Fortress, you will not find anything.
Same with Figby's hand.
Hmm.
Right? I keep doing that all the time. So you do know, of course, Fig, that once you cast it, you have been dispelling it the following morning, but it can persist for up to 12 hours if you choose to leave it.
Up to 24, right?
Is that what I said?
You said 12.
I meant 24.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said 12. I'm looking right at the words 24 hours.
Yeah, you know what? I do. No, he's gonna cast. Yeah, he's gonna cast it for tonight. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other final preparations this night or in the morning before you begin your ascent? All right. Well, we can call it a new day then, as everybody. What is your plan for the dogs then? How are you planning on dealing with them?
It may be safest to leave Hermes to tend to them here rather than try and
Could we
ascend the mountain with them.
leave them in the mansion until either we get back or it runs out and they just appear in the snow?
I was going to
Yeah.
ask what happens to people that are still inside if it ends.
They just pop out.
Yeah, then that would be my
Yeah.
suggestion as well.
I
I think
don't
that's a
know
good
if
idea.
we've identified what to call your spell, but would not Fig be a good help here, or would you prefer the spell come with us? And should we address it as something?
I think that they should come with us. I am not sure of a name yet.
Your
What about Junior?
your simulacrum sort of cocks its head to the side, and in almost the same vocal sounds as Fig, addressing you, Thorgarn, it says, "I am not a spell. I am the result of a spell."
My apologies, I meant no offense.
No offenses are taken. And then it just turns to look at you, Fig. What would you like to call me?
I will call you Copernicus.
Copernicus. It turns back to Thorgarn. I am Copernicus.
Well, it was a pleasure to meet you. I'll totally reach out my hand for, handshake and whatnot.
I imagine it shaking your hand and then spending the next few moments walking up to each one of the Dawnbringers and introducing itself as Copernicus, including each of the 6 dogs.
That is, I think Fig would demand it because that would be rude.
All right. So you're leaving Hermes and the dogs behind in the fortress. But you are bringing Copernicus and Baron along with you, along with everybody else. As you begin your ascent up mountain. As it would happen, there is a section of Icewind Dale called Mountain Travel. It is going to take you a bit of time. It's a few miles. Or sorry, it's not a few miles up the mountain. This is a really tall mountain. It's 5 miles straight up. It is going to be a lot of travel moving through the switchbacks and everything. It looks like it's going to take you a few hours. I do believe that you had purchased snowshoes along with all of your other equipment. So you will be able to travel at roughly about a quarter mile an hour as you are traveling these switchbacks. What I need is, as you are traveling up the mountain, I need a survival check.
Those dice are fired.
Is it like everybody making it or one person?
I am going to have each of you make a survival check now, because this is less about navigating and more about stepping cautiously.
22.
24.
15.
I'm gonna use 2 domain dice, one for me and one for Copernicus.
Cantriel's pulling a Legolas, just walking on top of the snow next to everybody. All right. Talmud?
I got an 18.
All right.
Fig got a 3, and Copernicus got a 17.
And Drown, what did you get?
15.
There's a point as you are traveling along, Fig, perhaps it's because you're paying too close attention to Copernicus, making sure that they are doing okay, that you're paying less attention to where you put your own feet. Fortunately for you, Copernicus seems to be paying almost as much attention to you. There's a point where you step and a section of snow and ice breaks loose, and before you even slip more than an inch or two, Copernicus reaches out, grabbing a hold of the front of your robes and just sort of slides you to the side back onto solid ground. I need another survival check from everybody for your second hour as you travel upward.
$17.
Drown.
Burning a domain die for a 21.
All right. Thorgarn.
23.
Copernicus and Fig.
I burned another domain die, and that's a 12 and a 7.
Who got the 7?
Copernicus.
And Talmud.
Talmud got another 18.
In a weird twist, Copernicus and Fig seem to be watching each other's back. Fig, you're able to return the favor for Copernicus. You can see that you don't have a whole lot further to go, just a couple switchbacks. This will be the last survival check as you cross the last bit of distance to the fortress. And there's quite a scene taking place silently on Jeremy's window.
I thought I just got a hat trick. I thought I rolled another 18, but it was a 12.
No, the other dwarf got the 18 this time.
All right. Cantriel.
Missing mouse, 15.
Drown.
23.
Fig and Copernicus.
Or on both.
Oh no.
Okay. I'm fixing to break a record here for the number of windows that I have open. You are all continuing this final bit of ascent, and you see that you're at the top of this section. No longer do you see the rough stone of the mountain cliff walls, but instead you see sheer smooth stone from the worked stone of the fortress itself. You see the walls rising high above you, and you can see that into sections of this wall high up are arrow slits with warm firelight burning behind them. You swear on the wind, and coming from this fortress, you can hear a sound that has an almost faint rhythmic musical sound to it. But first Thorgarn and then Talmud, the dwarves, recognize this is the sound of forge hammers striking metal. You see a narrow staircase hewn from ice and rock leading up along the wall. It is barely 5 feet wide and rises 150 feet upward, covered in frost. Just as you come around this bend and you see this, Fig and Copernicus both looking at the site almost Copernicus almost steps off the side. And Fig, you just, in your also watching, you not watching where you were going, you sort of collide into Copernicus. There's an awkward dance between the two constructs as you collide and sort of try to capture your balance. And there is a tremendously loud sound as you fall not, fortunately, over the edge, but you crash into the side of where this stone begins to be smoothed out. Who knows how long ago, by the tools of the Duergar. The resounding clash of metal on stone seems to reverberate longer than it should, and you all feel a heavy vibration beneath your feet and a rumbling. Fortunately for you, you are nearly at the top of the mountain, and the avalanche breaks free below you. You watch as a section of the mountain beneath you begins to rumble loose, and a wall of sheer ice and snow begins tumbling downwards. It is fortunate for you that the mansion is an extra-dimensional space, because it's in the path at the bottom, but that is a problem for future Dawnbringers, not present Dawnbringers. As you stand at the base of the stairs looking upward, no additional saves are needed or checks for you to climb the stairs. But as you do so, climbing up along this wall towards who knows what waits you at the top, you notice just off to your side, you are looking down sheer cliff, hundreds of feet down. But because of the clearness of it, you can actually, in the darkness, you can make out the rolling hills of snow of the tundra plains of Icewind Dale, and you swear you can just make out pinpoints of light far in the distance where 10 towns would be. And that is where we're going to take a break. Thus ending this session of this first part of Survival Simulator. I think this is about the only rolls we made tonight so far. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and take about a 10-minute break. And when we come back, the Dawnbringers are going to be entering Sunblight to see what they can find. Stick around. We will be back in just a few moments. as you climb these stairs with the precarious edge dropping off into nothingness. You're high enough that you can, even in the darkness of the ever-present night, you can see clouds below you. You've risen up above at least some layer of clouds. You reach the top of this staircase, and moving east from the top, you find yourself standing at the entrance of this mighty fortress, a 10-foot high double door of smooth, featureless stone. As you look at the doors from the right, an arrow slit is facing in your direction, guarding this approach. If there's anybody in there, they've probably spotted you. What would you like to do?
Did I miss? Is there a door on the room that looks like it contains this arrow slit?
No, there's. You're standing at the top of the stairs, and as you sort of face the fortress, there's this 10-foot door, and then to your right, high up on the wall, is a narrow arrow slit.
Is the distance between here and the doorway, does it look like it has ice on it at all? Would it be slippery?
It's snow and frost-covered stone.
Okay. Talmud's gonna brandish Gertabrone and charge at the door.
Hang on 1 second.
Okay.
Jake, can we see into the arrow slit at all? Like, is there...
No, it's high enough up that you can't see
and too
into it.
small? Okay. Fair enough.
So, Talmud, you are brandishing Gerta and charging the door.
Yep.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
Talmud has one plan. This is his plan, always. Unless somebody else has a better plan. This is what he goes with.
All right. I'll say, go ahead and make an attack on the door.
So I rolled another natural 20.
You charge yelling at this door. You only run about 10 feet as you reach the door, and you bring Gerta Brone down into the stone, and there's a tremendous and you see a very thin array spiderwebbing micro cracks on the surface of the stone. It will take you a very long time indeed to try to break through this stone door. In response, however, you hear as this reverberating sound of the maul striking the door, you hear as the doors open, revealing on the other side of the door, you see about 10 feet, and then there is an iron portcullis rising up into the ceiling, beyond which you can see a large vestibule that is a completely empty room with a narrow opening at the far end, and you can just make out that there's an arrow slit in the western wall. What would you like to do now?
Do we still hear that sound? Do we still hear that sound of the banging of the?
There is a
iron?
constant, faint sound of metal striking metal that seems to come from within the fortress.
Is it louder now that the doors are open?
Only
/ can
slightly.
we-
It still sounds distant.
Okay.
I want to look on the ceiling just to make sure that there aren't like murder holes or something up there.
You peer into this area between the door and the portcullis, and you see nothing but about 15 feet up, smooth stone.
Do we
Try
wish
to
to
force
try
it
to
up?
force the gate? Yeah, I'll come help.
Okay. Yeah, Talmud to move forward.
As you step into this space, again you hear a loud reverberation, and the portcullis begins to rise of its own accord. You hear from somewhere beyond, within the wall, you hear the clanking of whatever mechanism is causing this portcullis to rise. After a few moments, it is raised all the way up, allowing easy passage for anybody that wishes into the vestibule.
I'm going to be really weirded out if Vi just appears and surrenders, because this is not like what used to happen. What is supposed to happen?
I'm not really sure why they would have fortified themselves in this place if they were just going to let us waltz in this easily.
I am suspicious.
For certain.
Indeed.
We may not be able to get out so easily.
Isn't that why we have spells?
Well, are we heading in? All right.
All right. As you enter into the vestibule, you find an area. This room is about, where'd it go? This room is about 25 feet long and 20 feet wide. You do see on the western wall there is an arrow slit. You can see beyond into this area, as the ceiling in here is only about 15 feet high. Looking in, you can see darkness with just a faint light on the other side. You can make out there is a large chamber. To the north of you is a stone pillar with two passageways open, or rather two doorways opening on either side of the stone pillar, allowing passage into a corridor north of this room.
Still no sign of anything living.
Oh,
This is strange. Very, very strange. Can we
Cantriel,
just
do you
keep-
see or hear anything that might be kind of lurking around?
Sure, just give me a minute. Do you want me to do a check, Jake?
yeah. Go ahead and do an active perception check as you're listening.
Ping Cantriel. One ping only, please.
26.
That just reminded me of the joke that I don't know which one of you slipped into Dragon Heist, but the Scarlet Marpanoth.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that's Perkins.
Marpanoth in the Faerunian calendar is the equivalent of October, for those that don't know, making the Scarlet Marpenoth a vessel in Waterdeep, basically Red October.
Although, all right, so I suspect it was Perkins. It could have been either of the Jameses, and I don't know for sure. That was before. That was
Whoever
before
it
my
was,
time. Somebody just.
whoever it was a genius. I caught it when we played through that, and I enjoyed it. You just reminded me of that. What was the number you rolled, Cantriel?
6.
Sorry, you cut out.
26.
26. I should have known whatever number you said was going to start with 20 something. With the exception of the faint sounds of a forge in action, I'll say with that 26, you can tell that it is coming from somewhere further into the fortress. And you sense that it's below you. But where you are now in this fortress, it's eerily quiet.
Let's just say it's quiet. Like creepy quiet.
Big wants to cast Detect Magic. Just to see if he can feel the presence for the next 10 minutes. Any magic?
Yeah, I just need to double check something with that. Whoops, that's a whole different spell, Detect Magi. That's what I thought. You are sensing your Detect Magic spell. First of all, the area around you, the only things that are lighting up for you are yourself and your allies. Otherwise, you sense that there's the spell seems to be muffled a bit. You are in a fortress of stone, and it's not able to penetrate through even the walls of this place. They're too thick for that magic. But you have it up for the next 10 minutes as you are moving through.
Yeah, he just wants to keep it up.
Okay, perfect. The only way forward is forward. Straight ahead of you is the only opening other than the narrow arrow slit.
Onward.
All right. You come out of this doorway into a hallway that is from north to south 10 feet wide. Immediately to your left, about 15 feet, is a set of double stone doors banded with iron. And to your right, extending almost beyond what even Drown you are able to see with your dark vision, is a long hallway. About 40 feet to your right about 40 feet to your right, there is an intersection with passages going north and south. So you've got intersection and long hallway to the right, to the east, and to the west you have double doors. And we have a goblin in the chat gifting out subscriptions and subscribing, which means you all get, looks like 6 domain dice thanks to our wonderful friend, the amazing Goblin Katie. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Goblin Katie.
So you ever play Diablo 3 with the treasure goblins?
Yes.
Run around spewing gold over. It's the same thing, but
Yep.
with subs.
Yep, exactly. This goblin we don't mind running into. Oops.
Just don't hurt it.
All right. So doors to the left, intersection to the right. Who's leading this ragtag band?
I guess I am.
Can we tell if the sounds of forge are, more prominent one way or the other?
Cantriel was able to determine that they seem to be coming from below. There's no real indication within these stone walls. They seem to almost reverberate around. So it's hard to pinpoint a specific direction.
But can't tell if it's like coming down the hallway versus through these doors.
Right. Like if you turn to the right, you swear it's coming from behind you where these double doors are. But when you turn to face the double doors, it seems to be coming from behind you down the hallway.
All right. I got nothing.
Well, someone had to operate the portcullis at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
And the doors.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we try to find a way that leads back that direction.
There was an arrow slit on the... Which wall was the arrow slit on, Jake?
The east wall was the one where you... outside the door. The vestibule had one in the west wall.
Then I suspect the controls are in the room beyond the east arrow slit.
Which would lead you towards the east, towards the intersection.
So if we want to find who opened the door, that is what I think.
Or
Aye.
that way.
It was also higher, as if it would be like on the next floor up. Right?
That was a different arrow slit, wasn't it? There was one high up. And then once we
That's
got
the
to
one that
door-
was high up.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right.
We've encountered a total of 3 arrow slits by my count.
2.
Oh, just 2? All right.
Yeah, the one outside and then the one in the vestibule.
And one high up, right?
The one outside was the high up one.
Okay.
So then I'll turn towards the intersection and making my way that direction, just keep my eyes out for a staircase that might lead up.
Okay. After about 20 feet, you come to the intersection. Immediately to your left, to the north, there's a 10-foot length of hallway ending in a set of double stone doors. To the south, however, it is an open 20-foot hallway that then opens up into a much larger room. You can see several southward-facing arrow slits. You can just make out the starlight and the illumination of the aurora filtering in through those.
It looks like there is a room here with arrow slits in it, so maybe we should at least just check it while we're here.
Sure.
Yeah, he'll lead in that direction.
All right. You see, as you grow closer, not only is there the illumination coming in from outside, you see a faint glow. Very dim lit. They're very low, but there are braziers with glowing hot coals in this room, providing more heat, more warmth than they are providing light. There are, along the south wall, there are several arrow slits facing that way. You see actually 4 of them. On the west wall, you see that there is an arrow slit high up on the wall with a stone platform in front of it and a ladder attached to it. On that same wall, there is a lever. There's a lever and a heavy iron winch. Near the middle of this room, you also see a floor-to-ceiling iron cage that appears to contain some sort of elevator shaft with chains running up and down away from it. These chains are in constant motion, and now that you're in this room, you can actually hear a constant mechanical noise that seems to be coming from up and down in this elevator shaft. In the east wall of this room, there is a double door in the middle of that wall. Cold air is coming in through the arrow slits into the room, vying with the warm air provided by the braziers.
It's vying.
Coincidental choice of words. Do you all enter into this room?
I do, at least. Yeah.
Yep.
And you are doing what?
I think just because it's probably one of the only ones that he's ever seen, he's going to go to the elevator and kind of see if he can peer down and up to see if he can get any kind of information about how many floors may be above or below, or where the car that rides in this shaft might be.
You can only see darkness looking in either direction. But you can definitely tell that the shaft goes a very long ways, both up and down. You hear this constant damn you, Jeremy. There was a reason I was avoiding that. I've been trying not to say that because I knew some of my children in this game couldn't contain themselves.
Warm braziers and up and down. Got it.
Yep.
Keep going.
Warm braziers, up and down the
shaft goes a long
shaft,
way.
in the middle of the room. Just get it all out there. There you go, Staffen. Go ahead and clip it
Turgid
all.
shafts. Got it. Yep.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
You can't sit us next to each other no matter what. Mm-mm.
So, Talmud has moved over to the elevator. What is, in investigating that, what are the others doing?
I think Fig is going to go up beside Talmud. We could jump down.
Or we could jump up, Copernicus says. You have Fig and Copernicus on either side of you.
Right.
Fig nods as if this is like a very reasonable observation.
Well, I would need some help to jump up, but jumping down is a possibility. And he's contemplating it.
Okay, well, just as a reminder, this isn't just an open elevator shaft. There is this like cage around it. As the three of them are contemplating the pros and cons of the elevator, what are the rest of you doing? Baron is over by the arrow slits and is just kind of peering out. Drown, what are you doing?
So there's mechanisms that probably were used to open the gate in the portcullis up on that platform.
Yep, a lever and a winch.
But there's nobody in here. And there's a set of doors on the other side of the room.
Yep.
Can we listen at the doors?
Yeah, Drown's just going to kind of look pointedly at Thorgarn and then look at the doors.
Thorgarn and Drown make note of the doors and
Drown's heading that way, but not really doing anything.
Kind of heading in that direction. Cantriel. Oh, Cantriel, with your... What is your passive score these days? Your passive perception?
Oh, you know, it's a no big deal 22.
So
it is.
Having figured out where everybody is, Cantriel, as they're moving over there, you sort of are looking around and seeing where everybody is, and something catches your eye over at the platform by the arrow slit, by the winch and the lever. Like you thought you saw movement, but then there's nothing there. But wait, no, you see it again. Very faint. All but your eyes would probably miss it. Up on the platform, just about a couple feet higher than the platform itself, you see a small plume of what looks like steam and dissipate. And dissipate in rhythm as if somebody were breathing. It looks like your own breath frosted in front of you. It looks like somebody might be up there.
And I can see this breath.
Yep.
Oh, I pull out Semper Cavitine and I aim towards not where the breath is, but sort of tracking the air, the flow, looking more for source. Just kind of the quick calculation, like, okay, so that's where the mouth is. Let's shoot down a little bit lower. So she's basically aiming, maybe kneecap, thigh area to see if she can make some contact with something with one of her arrows.
You're going to take a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Roll with disadvantage.
Okay. Hold on. Let me get Sempre pulled up. So yeah, she's not looking to do like headshot type of stuff. It's lower, like even if it's like whiffs and it gets fabric, cool. Okay, that is going to be 17.
You let an arrow loose and you hear a sort of almost echoing sort of a squeal from up above. Your arrow passes through whatever it was and clatters against the stone beyond. And there's a sort of flickering of movement. And then you see roughly about maybe 4 what appears to be 4 or 5 feet tall, a figure in a cloak standing there, looking down at where there is very clearly a hole in the cloak that's wrapped around its body. And you see where the breath was emanating from as you see a kobold standing there. You almost killed us!
No, if I wanted to kill you, I would have killed you. I shot lower.
Any lower and you would have killed we.
Say that again.
Any lower and you would have killed we. You almost killed us.
Open the cloak.
I've only just met you. It's very forward of you.
How many of you are we speaking to? 1, 2, 3 with the we and the us.
The kobold sort of pulls the cloak a little bit and kind of dips down inside. And then you see as the front of the cloak opens in 2 locations, and you see 3 kobolds in a cloak.
All right, 2 things. 1, it's rude not to make your presence known. 2, you better be careful traveling like that.
we were unsure what you would do. They start sort of clambering. All of you can hear this now, the voices and Cantriel talking to somebody. And you can now see as this cloak is sort of removed and these three kobolds sort of disentangle themselves. And they begin to, as they do this, they begin to clamber down from one after the other, climbing down this ladder leading down, so that they can very cautiously. They're kind of crouching low. They're holding the cloak between them, as they sort of hesitantly are moving towards you. As excuse me. One of them steps forward and says, "I am Yupo. This is Uspo, and this is Weepo."
Cantriel flips into Draconic and she introduces herself. And then she'll start going around the room, nodding to the others, doing introductions.
Oh, we hoped it would be you. We have heard so much of you.
Apparently, they've heard of us.
You opened the gate for us.
Yes, it was all of us.
How many of you? The three of you or more?
Oh, just us. Just us. When we saw you coming, we could not believe our eyes that it would be you. And you. And they are looking at Talmud. Yes.
Are they still speaking Draconic?
They're speaking in common this whole
they're
time.
okay. Cool. Yes, it's me.
Yes, we hear of what you do in the place below the ground where we come from.
The Citadel.
You've come all the way here from the Sunless Citadel?
We did. We had no choice. We were brought
So you're
here with her.
with Vi.
Weepo, Uspo, Yupo. You knew Meepo.
Yes, we are all clutchkin, born of the same clutch.
I know Meepo well. He travels with me, in a sense.
Where is Meepo?
You might have a
Goes
chance
up
to
every
meet
so
him.
often.
We would very much like to see him again.
It might take some time.
We have
Is
waited.
Vi below?
What was that?
Is Vi below?
Vi is below in the forge. But come, there is another you must see. She helped maybe. You know. And looks at both you, Cantriel, and you, Talmud. You know, Yuzdrael. You remember Yuzdrael?
Yes.
We do.
Yuzdrael is here.
Willingly.
None of us are here of our own will.
That's good to know.
Who is this that they speak of?
Sort of the
Their
grand
queen,
dame, yeah.
I guess would be the word.
Yeah, she was essentially sort of had declared herself the queen of the kobolds in the Sunless Citadel.
Can I insight check their enthusiasm and truth?
Yeah, you can certainly try.
As an 18.
They seem very sincere, and they're very wide-eyed and are already moving towards the door and sort of beckoning at all of you. You come to see Yustrael. Yustrael does not like Vi. Resists.
We can get some information. This might be worthwhile.
Certainly would be better to have them on our side instead of causing resistance.
Agreed, especially if they're here not of their own volition. Let's go speak to her. We po, us po, you po.
Come. We take you. And they lead out into the hallway and begin moving further east. After very nearly 100 feet, there is a set of double doors in the north wall. But all of you can't help but notice immediately across from this door is a short hallway, and there is a very large iron portcullis that is lowered. There is an iron lever sticking out of the wall in this little hallway, and there is a very large and wide stone chimney, it appears, that is carved into the stone. In here, Yustrael is in here. Come. And the three of them move to the door, the set of double doors, and press them open. Both warmth and bright firelight comes blaring out of this room as the doors are opened. There's 3 braziers in here heaped with glowing hot coals, providing the light and the warmth in this room. At the eastern end of this room is a hexagonal stone table. There are several stone chairs around it, one at each of its facets, so 6 total stone chairs. Across from the door, seated in a chair, is a somewhat familiar-looking kobold. You recognize the face of Yustrael, but she is much larger, having gained much weight. This table that she is seated in front of is piled high with food, and she is in each hand there's the flank of some sort of creature, as she is tearing meat from bone, taking something else, dipping a flank of meat into a large tankard of wine or ale or something. There's just all manner of food on this buffet. You see cooked meats, mushrooms, strange things that you've never really seen before. You're pretty sure in a large tureen in front of her is what looks like a brain with legs sort of in claws grasping at the edges of the tureen, with some sort of sauce around it. Hunched over a hot stove on the west side of the room are 3 kobolds, eagerly cooking away. As all of you enter the room, those 3 kobolds, you hear a clattering of utensils dropping to the ground, and the 3 kobolds grab at spears and slings and begin to take up a look, like they're ready to protect. And immediately the Weepo, Uspo, and Upo. No. They are with us. They are with us. They have come. Look, Yustrael. Look who it is. Look who I bring. Look who we bring. And Yustrael seems a bit surprised at first, and then suddenly places the food down on the table, looking around and looking specifically at you, Cantriel, and at you, Talmud. Yes. I remember you. You killed Calstrix.
Mm-hmm.
You're a friend to the goblins.
I mean, technically, we made friends, very good friends, with Meepo, actually.
Weepo was a fool.
Well, it's good to see you again. You look well.
Come. Bring your friend. Take a seat at my table and eat. You look famished.
No, I'm full. It kind of
Try
like says
the
looking
intellect
at the thing.
devourer.
Oh, no, thank you.
It's
I've heard-
brain food.
Literally. Cantriel just sort of looks at Drown like, just like, now you're getting your sense of humor.
Bygones will be bygones. Yustrael does not hold grudge.
Well, that's good.
Depending on why you are here. Are you here for the druid?
Yes.
Do you
The little
come
ones here.
as a friend or a foe?
Your little ones here say that you have a problem with Vi. We are here to stop her.
We were brought here by the druidess, and she came back to the citadel. She brought us all here.
It seems you are a long ways from home.
We make do. Perhaps this is our new home. We don't know how far from home it is that we are. But I know that I don't like what she does.
What is it that she's
She
doing?
is not herself. I remember the woman that was with you. And I remember she was always trying to feed you vegetables. That is not the woman that is here now. She is consumed by malice and vengeance, and by the dark crystals.
Those crystals. Is she collecting more?
She has collected many. She is ready to unleash her creation on the cities and towns below.
What is his creation?
She has created something called a Chardlin dragon.
Is that so?
With it, she means to unleash it upon Icewind Dale. I have managed to stay safe from these crystals. Convincing her I needed to keep my wits about me so that I can make sure that the kobolds will stay in line. I have saved as many as I could, but she has corrupted many of them. The crystal corrupts all who possess it for too long.
So we've noticed. Wise of you to try and do what you could with the kobolds and keep them safe. Though how many are we looking at who have been touched by the crystals?
Unfortunately, most of the kobolds are consumed by the crystals until they can take it no more, and their poor little bodies are consumed. But we found, and she looks over at the three kobolds, Treepo, Uspo, and Weepo. We found that there were clutches of kobolds in the mountains here. We convinced them into her service. It was a sacrifice we had to make for our own lives. For every kobold she corrupted, I tried to save at least one. How many there are down there, I cannot know. I've been biding my time, hoping that either her beasts or this dragon would consume her. Or she will unleash this creation, and when it is done, she will leave this place. Then Yorstrael will bring all the kobold clans to here for safety and protection.
Kobolds that are below, do you believe they are beyond saving?
They are more crystal and dragon, giving in to their bestial nature. The crystal brings out the primal nature, the darkness. Do you think you will be able to stop her and this dragon?
Do you know if this dragon has any weaknesses or anything that...
I don't know anything of what this creature can do. Except I know that she has programmed into it a path of destruction. There is, on this level of the fortress, a war room that belonged to the Durgar that once inhabited this place. In there you will find a map with the route the dragon will take. And I know what it looks like. And she sort of leans back in her chair. And from her lap, you see something moving. And you hear this sort of... And then you see a clawed hand reach up onto the table. And then another one. And you see what looks not at all dissimilar, yet somehow very much unlike Verde, the fairy dragon. But this is a miniature dragon made entirely of Charlatan. Glowing forge-like eyes, and instead of a full mouth, you see what looks like a grill of a forge, and behind it a fire burns as this miniature dragon climbs up onto the table and sort of and stretches outward. And yep, there you go. V has the perfect representation and a true to scale compared to Yusrael of what this little tiny chunky boy looks like. As that is not hashtag not a sponsor, that is WizKids Charlatan Dragon. This
You said
is the
you said that
prototype.
you said that you had managed to not be affected by this crystal. How is that so if this beast is that's this close to you?
I don't know how it works. I have not changed like the other kobolds. Same old Yusrael. As she pats her large belly.
Is this war room you spoke of guarded?
It is unguarded.
Then if you can direct us to it, we will retrieve this map.
You passed it on your way here. They can take you. As I have just decided that the collective name for the three Poes is they Po. You Po, we Po, us Po, together there, they Po. They Po can take you.
One last question. Who is it that's operating the forge below?
They both said it was Vi.
Believe that she'd be doing
Vi
it by
does
her own.
not operate the forge. She commands those underneath her. The corrupted kobolds do her commands.
Well, it's good to know that the Dweger are not still around.
We have seen no signs of them. I have sent kobolds into the Underdark. There is a passageway into there from here. But we have encountered none. Only the occasional... Well, she dips a spoon into this tureen and sort of lifts up, and you see what looks like the tiny brain with sort of limp clawed feet on it. And she scoops some of the sauce and pours it over top. Intellect devourer.
Well, I'm ready to go.
Let's go check out this war room.
Yes, come. And Thapo will show you to the war room. Taking you back the way you came, you go back down the hallway and are led to the doors that were opposite of the room in which you found Thapo, the double doors. Here, they take you to the doors and they open the doors up. Here you see a rectangular room with two sets of double doors, the ones that you have come in through on the south wall, and another set of double doors to the north. In the middle of this room is a low stone table, on the top of which is drawn an illustration that looks like a map. As you draw closer to this room, which is illuminated by braziers in the corner, the closer you get to this map, you realize it's not just any map. This is an accurate depiction of 10 towns. You recognize Bryn Shander, you recognize the Lonely Wood in particular. You recognize the lake itself within there. The other thing that you notice about this map is that there is a 6-inch tall figurine carved out of Chardalyn, a miniature version of the dragon that you have seen. A little bit bigger than that one, but yes, it is a 6-inch version of the Chardalyn dragon. It is attached to an iron stand, an iron rod, that is in a groove that is carved into the table. That looks like it marks out a path throughout Icewind Dale. Looking closer at this table, there is a lever on the west side of the table.
Like, whenever you say that this is like a relief carved into the table, is it like a shallow relief? Like, would you be able to take like a rubbing from this? It's
not a relief. It's actually a drawing, a very detailed drawing of the map.
Oh,
but there is a groove carved into it that this dragon is basically on a flight stand, and it appears to mark out a path.
I pull the lever.
You pull the lever and you hear a mechanical sound coming from the table, and the dragon figurine begins to and begins following this path, outlining a path that the dragon is intended to follow, apparently. As you watch for a couple of moments as it leaves the area of the map marked closest to you, marked Sunblight, and it flies to Dugan's Hole, then to Goodmead, then to East Haven, to Caer Dineval, to Caer Konig, to Tourmaline, from Tourmaline to Lonely Wood, to Bremen, then to Targos, then to Bryn Shander, and then it returns to Sunblight. You hear as the dragon figurine comes to a stop, the three kobolds are watching with wide-eyed enthusiasm, and they sort of move around the table, following it, tracking its movements. And you hear that sort of the whole time. It's just ticking as the gears are winding and moving through. And when it flies back to Sunblight, stopping where it started when Drown pulled the lever, it goes And then you hear and the whole fortress around you, you feel a rumbling as dust and snow and ice and stone begin to fall from the ceiling, just in chips and dust. And the three dragon or kobolds all hold their hands up. They didn't do it! You hear a screeching sound coming from down the hallway in the direction of that, where you saw that chimney with the portcullis in front of it. You also, Cantriel, would probably be the first to notice that for the last several minutes, you have not heard the sound of the forge hammers. They've stopped. There is a tremendous roaring sound. There's a clatter from somewhere up above of something heavy seems to have either broken loose or been thrown aside. And the three kobolds rush through the open door and they dash across the hall into that room where you first found them. And they begin peering out. You see them peering out the arrow slits, looking, and you hear them going, "No, outside, outside!" And they quickly scramble around and they backtrack to where the open front doors of the fortress are as they run out. Do any of you follow them? And I think you would see Baron quickly, "This isn't good." And as you all run out, you see the three kobolds standing there just staring, as you hear from outside and high above, you hear this sound, and chunks of ice and snow and stone are falling down into the vast opening. And looking up, you see a dark shape perched atop the upper levels of this, more than 100 feet above you. And then for a moment, the aurora is partially blotted out as you see massive wings unfurl. It pushes away from the tower and it seems to drop almost 50 feet before pulled up. It curves around in an arc and you hear another into the night sky as it banks, widens its wings, and glides. And you see it's moving in the direction of where you saw on the map was Dugan's Hole. And that is where we are going to end our session. The Dawnbringers next week will have to determine, do they continue after Vi, or do they track down Belloc the Malevolent? The choice will be yours. All right. Thanks for the visuals, V. Oh, that was perfect. Thank you, everybody who tuned in tonight. I hope you enjoyed tonight's session. It's the first time in a long time we've had no actual encounters, per se. But it sounds like the Dawnbringers are going to have their hands full in the coming sessions. A quick reminder that we will be back next Thursday for session 20 of the Dawnbringers, where we'll figure out what they're going to do. But then we will have the week after that is Jasper's Game Week. However, you will be able to find most of the Dawnbringers and special guest Dwight the Big Bearded Nerd at a later time during Jasper's that Thursday. I believe it's the 6th of May. We will be having a very special one-shot adventure They're all going to roll up new characters. I've just today crafted something clever to face them against. But this game will be starting at 10:30 p.m. Eastern and going into 1:30 a.m. But because it's a fundraiser for Jaspers, we're going to have lots of fun stuff. I know we're going to probably incorporate re-rolls where you can donate money to get the equivalent of domain dice. We're also going to have... I got to look at what the options are because I have to agree to the elements I want to influence. But something that's been coming up that's been pretty popular is you can, in some of these games, is you can donate to make different players and the DM even have to talk in a particular accent for 5 minutes. So that's been a lot of fun and a great way to raise some money. So we're going to have fun with this. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. The other thing that is a little more immediate than these things I've just told you about. So immediate, in fact, it's tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can tune in to Nerdarchy Live, where you can catch myself, V, along with Asa and Robin. I believe we are going to be Sans Fragginator tomorrow. But you can catch all of us under the DM wiles of one Ted in our untraditionally arcane all wizards game, where we are having a lot of fun with that. And then Sunday I will be over on Talon and Claw for our usual Sea of Thieves shenanigans. I was a little under the weather and couldn't be there this last Sunday. And we did announce that beginning May 17th we have a brand new adventure coming to Mini Terrain Domain, Scribes and Scrolls, the Candlekeep Mysteries. Make sure you're following at MTD_Jake on Twitter. We are beginning to reveal the characters. We have some incredible art by Legends of... if you go to my Twitter, you can see what it is. I can't remember what their name is off the top of my head, but they've done some amazing artwork, character artwork. Legends of Akira. It's Amanda over there at Legends of Akira. Has done all of our character artwork. So check that out. Yeah. Once again, thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you to the new follows. Huge thank you, of course, to our lovely friend Goblin Katie for gifting out those subs to the community. And the raid from Big Bearded Nerd at the beginning. And as always, and of course, a huge thank you to Dan, V, M, Ted, and Jeremy, without whom it would just be me talking to myself for 3 hours. With that, we are going to go ahead and end this stream the same way we end every stream, and you can say it with me if you want.
Shit.
Milk the-
We released a dragon.